All right, our presenter today, AcreView Analytics by Noah Graham. Welcome.
Yep. Here, I got my mic on. Y'all hear me? Yep. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. So my name's Noah Graham. I'm the founder of AcreView Analytics. Now, before I get into this presentation, there's two key stats that I want to bring to your attention. Number one, the number of small to medium-sized family farms in the United States. There are 1.18 million family farms in the United States, size small to medium. Now, this next stat is one that I find key. Since 2017, we've lost 160,000 of these family farms. Now, I personally come from a family farm down in southeast Missouri. My great-grandfather, Homer, founded it back in 1965. Now, on our operation, we run a livestock operation with cow-calf, backgrounding, hay production, row crops, amongst other enterprises. Now, on our operation, we had a problem. We didn't understand our farm finances. It was causing us to have decreased profits, increased stress, and potentially the loss of our family farm. I knew there had to be a better solution, and so I started creating custom enterprise budgets for our operation, and that's when AcreView Analytics was born. You see, farmers across the United States have this same exact problem. They don't understand their finances. They make decisions based on a gut feeling, which leads to millions of dollars of profit losses across the industry. Now, all these family farms that I talked about, the 160,000, a lot of them declined because they didn't know their farm finances. The first time I saw this in action was when I was going to a livestock auction. I went to the auction and everybody was, raising their hand, bidding on cattle, buying cattle. But most of the time, the people in there had no idea what their limit should be. They had no idea what the return was going to be on these cattle that they were buying. And ultimately, they didn't even know if they were going to make money on it. We started creating custom enterprise budgets for ourselves, and then from there it grew to friends and family. Once I realized this problem was nationwide, we started the business and started selling these enterprise budgets to operations across the country. At the moment, we serve 14 clients across 4 different states. We're down in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and here in the state of Missouri. And we're just recently about to sign our first international client from Australia. Now, these here are our enterprise budgets. Over here, we've got our customer-owned cows and an example of our cow-calf expenses. This is what it looks like when a farmer sits down to run their numbers and see exactly what they're going to make on their operation. Now, we also create custom dashboards. And on these dashboards, we include KPIs, benchmarking, revenue and cost analysis, so that the farmer can pull up their phone from wherever they're at and immediately see their financial position. Now, over here on the left-hand side, we also have scenario inputs, so that if a farmer's at the market, if he's at the sale barn, he can go in and adjust his inputs according to what the markets are going for and see in real time how much money he's going to make on his operation. Now, as far as customers and competition go, our ICP is small to medium-sized farmers. As I said from the very start, there's 1.18 million of these family farms across the United States. Now, we identify with small and medium-sized operations because we figured out that these individuals are usually underrepresented in the marketplace. Right now, the support is primarily for large livestock operations, and nobody's really there to help the smaller guys. As far as competition goes, we've done a lot of market research, and to this point, we found that we are the only business within the United States who specifically does this sort of analysis for farmers. There is some competition that parallels what we do, but most of those are accounting platforms. You see, the difference between us and accounting platforms is that we work in the financial realm, right? So we work present day to the future, and we do projections on all these operations. Whereas the accounting people, they go from present day to the past and then figure out exactly what they did and how that can change the farming operation. The problem with accounting platforms is that you have to have all your records dialed in, and all those records have to be exactly right. Most of the time we see accounting platforms come in just to make sure the IRS stays off the farmer's back, but at the same time, they can do managerial accounting and turn around and help the farmer in the future. Now, there's 3 key points to our competitive advantage. Number 1, as I mentioned before, we focus on projections. We try to stay in the future. We try to go present day and figure out exactly what that operation is going to make, say, in the next year, next 2 years, next 5 years. Now, also, we do custom models. we found that across the livestock operations that we work with, no two are the same. Conceptually, yes, they operate the same. They produce their cattle, but within the intricacies of the operation, none of them are the same. And so that's when we started creating custom models, custom enterprise budgets to be able to tailor it to that farmer. Now, I also mentioned that there's very little competition in the marketplace. Right now, farm financial, the industry is untapped. We are the first people to be able to do this, as well as being the first people to actually pave the way into the farm financial industry. Now, this is one of our biggest selling points right here. This is an internal analysis that we did, and we found that across the operation, some of the operations that we worked with, we average an additional $26,614 per farm per year. Now, Mr. Huff, I'll ask you, if I were to come to you today and offer you the deal, okay, if you give me $100, by the end of the week, I'll give you $750 back. Would you take that deal?
Yes.
Yes, sir, and I would assume most of us in this room would also take that deal. But the problem is farmers aren't taking that deal. And why is that? Well, number one, a lot of farmers don't know that the deal is out there. Number two, I get it all the time. Well, this is too good to be true. It's too good to be true. Honestly, it's not. We do it all the time for clients across the United States. Now that goes into some of the problems that we have. Number one is client acquisition. Everybody knows that farmers, take their finances and hold them super close to their chest. A lot of the times, farmers don't even want to know what's going on within their operation because, if you don't know, it doesn't hurt. And so right now, warm word of mouth is absolutely huge for what we're doing. And it's one of the best ways we can contact farmers and get in reach with farmers. Now, our projections are within the next 6 months, our goals are to sign an additional 30 clients, as well as help farmers make over $1 million in additional revenue across these operations. Now, how 1 Million Cups can help us is number one, referrals. If you know a farmer that needs to know their finances, odds are all of them need to know their finances. There was a stat that was just done by the University of Missouri that said 5% of cow-calf operations in Missouri actually know their numbers. So that means 95% of the cow-calf operations need our help. They need to know their numbers so that they can stay more competitive in the marketplace and they can help their farm stay alive for longer. Now, the second thing is reach. As I said, farmers don't know that this deal exists. Right now, we're looking for opportunities to go present to farmers across the state. But if you know any places where we can get in front of farmers and be able to speak to a group of them, please send them our way so that we can be able to do that. This is my contact card right here. And so if you want to go ahead and take a picture of that, you can actually scan all of these QR codes individually. And I just want to say thank you so much for letting me come up here and present to you. I look forward to the questions and the Q&A. And with you all's help, we're going to be able to help save family farms across the United States. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, a great presentation. That is so impressive. I'm Kim, and my real job is I work at Lamar, the billboard company, and I love the family story. I also love, I work with lots of different industries, and they say, oh, we hired this marketing company because they specialize in this that we do. That's what you guys do, and I think that's amazing, especially with only one. How long have you been active doing this?
I started doing this on my family's operation 2 years ago. And
Yeah.
from there it scaled. We officially launched the company in last October. And so we're yet to be a year old.
Wow, that's exciting. You're very sharp on your information.
Good morning. I'm David Sims. Excellent presentation, and you have a big challenge in front of you. But let me ask you this: with all the volatility in the cost of feed, the cost of fertilizer, the cost of cattle going up and down, how are you able to predict from 1 to 3 to 4 or 5 years how you can help a farmer grow their business?
Yes, sir, for sure. So what we do is a lot of the work that we do gets modeled off of existing enterprise budgets and projections that come out of land grant universities. And so the University of Missouri is who we work with a lot of the time. And they're able to, they do all the studies to predict all these models out. And then we utilize that data and put it back into our software. And so a lot of the times, we use a lot of industry standards when looking at it. And we also take, historicals that happen, 10-year running averages. and then figure out, okay, how can we implement that into the future terms?
This is Debbie Rao. This is with House Theory Realty. So we have a farm. We do not have cattle, but I grew up on a farm. And right now I have a granddaughter was heavily involved in FFA.
Yes, ma'am.
I would suggest that in order to get ahead of the problem for some of these kids is to see if you can get into the FFA programs to talk to the kids that are going to be starting out. Because there's a lot of them who are looking at this. And it's better for them to know how to do it right in the first place. So that's what I would look at is the FFA programs, first off. And then, a lot of them are on farms with their parents who then they can talk to, about this type of thing. So really, really good program.
Thank you.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
I am Carrie Holiday. I'm Keller Williams, as a realtor there, and I am from this area and have seen a lot of farms and things like that. So my question to you, first of all, great presentation. You're a dynamic young man. I think you're going to go lots of places with this. So, but how hard was it to get you to convince your family to do it?
That is an excellent question. I would describe it as it's a dynamic relationship that we have when we're talking about numbers. We're continually having conversations all the time. So I mentioned on our operation the diversification that we have. So we actually have 12 separate enterprises within our operation. And so we're constantly having those conversations about the numbers, and it's a constant battle sometimes. It truly is to be able to convince the family members that, hey, this is making money, or we've been doing this for 40 or 50 years and it's not making money. And so sometimes that's a difficult conversation, but it's a necessary one nonetheless.
Okay, very good. And so second to that is like the technology aspect, getting farmers are used to doing everything kind of hands-on, old school. So how difficult is the technology to use for them?
So
Is
that's
it user-friendly?
Yes, ma'am. So originally when we started this whole program, when we started creating the custom enterprise budgets on Excel, what we wanted to do was make sure that the budgets were easy to understand for the farmers. And so when we create these budgets, we actually sit down with the farmers, walk them through the entire thing, because once we deliver that budget to them, it's theirs to keep forever. And so the idea was that we wanted to make it where the farmers are able to manipulate the numbers, right? And commonly on most enterprise budgets, excuse me, commonly we have like an inputs category, so the farmer can actually go in and change those individual things and doesn't have to mess with the rest of the spreadsheet. And so the other part of that is the dashboards that we're creating makes it even more simplistic to do that and be able to change their inputs year over year. Now we also sit down with farmers and get them to we do like yearly refreshes where they can go in and change. We change their numbers for them if they so choose not to.
Hi, Noah. My name is Jackie Mays, and during the day, I help run Health Hub Clinic. But in the night, I'm a secret farmer.
Very nice. Okay.
Carrie actually showed us our farm, and we bought 100 acres in Fordland in 2024.
Very nice.
We raise cattle, sheep, duck, chicken, and the reason we do it is because our kids want to feed their babies hormone-free, antibiotic-free, healthy meat.
Right.
We make no money. We lose money. We sell the meat to our staff at our clinic. Anyone that wants to buy it, you can come to Health Hub Clinic and get beef and lamb if you want. But we really, I'm your perfect target market. Where you had me was when we could do the calculator on our phone from the sale barn. The first time I went to the sale barn, we thought we were buying steer, and we came home with 3 cows. Like, you're beginners, okay? So we've never had a farm. My grandma raised dairy cattle, but she didn't do any of the work, and I didn't learn a thing. But I would be really interested in talking to you. I got your contact information, so you're gonna be hearing from me. I would love to show this presentation to my husband, but beyond that, do you work with the people you work with? Do you connect them to each other for mentorship opportunities?
So we have, at the moment, we haven't done much of that. A lot of the times, these farmers, they don't like to talk to one another
Yeah.
about their finances, and that's something,
Yeah.
as I said, they hold super close to the chest. What we do is, I mentioned on the dashboards that we create, we have benchmarks, and so what we do is we take national and state benchmarks, but we're also putting together a database where we can benchmark farmers against other farmers within their area, with de-identified data, and so that they know exactly what's going on within their area. And also on top of that, what we do, I tell people that, we take farmers from, say, 20% efficiency up to 80% efficiency, right? And so once they get to that 80% mark, then we hand them off to, say, a broker, or we hand them off to, livestock insurance agent, or we hand them off, to all these specialized people who can take them the rest of the way up. And so that is one aspect we've looked at as far as, getting farmers to talk to one another, but we just struggle with, getting them to talk about their finances with one another.
No, I totally get that. I just want to be able to ask a question like
Right?
of
And-
someone who's done it. So anyway, we're gonna connect, okay?
Perfect.
I'm excited about this and I want to help you and I have some ideas. We'll talk.
Thank you much.
Okay? Yes.
And on that front as well, I grew up in the industry, so I know farmers across the state, so we can 100% get you connected to somebody somewhere. 100%.
Dave Smart, great job, Noah. I've got a lot of thoughts for you as well, so excited to connect further, but just a couple of quick questions for now. When you allude to small and medium-sized operations, is that like a minimum number, head of cattle, like 50 or 100? So what exactly do you mean by that? And then when you begin to work with a client, do you sign like a one-year contract with them, or kind of how does that relationship continue to move forward?
For sure. Yeah, so on the first part, we'll work with anybody. So I've got cow-calf operations, I've got spray drones, I've got soil sampling, hay milling operations, all over the place, and it doesn't matter the size. But we ideally look at the small to medium guys. As I said, they're underrepresented in the marketplace. On top of that, when you talked about signing clients, so what we have is a one-time flat fee right at the front when we build an enterprise budget. Now we also get some recurring revenue when we go, and our second tier is dashboard refresh. And so we go in and update the enterprise budgets. And then our high tier is the dashboard itself and being able to go in and refresh those. So it depends on what the farmer is looking for. If they're looking for a yearly refresh where we go back in and update their numbers, we definitely have that available. But then we also have that, just a one-time fee where we set everything up and then let them go do their thing.
Dustin Farrell, Valiant Group, and living in the Ozarks. Love to connect with you. I think your story's great. My question is, do you, with any of the farmers, and I know that they're probably technologically challenged, so they may not be open to shooting testimonials, things like that. I think that'd be a great opportunity to talk to them, capture some of that footage. That way it's like, okay, here's one guy, he's had this success. Maybe they're not sharing the numbers, but figuring out a way you can still create content, and that can go up on social media platforms like that. And then second is go to any NLA cafe in the mornings, right, from 6 to 10. All the little small town, that's her idea, not mine. It's a great idea, but either way, I think that'd be a great way to connect with farmers.
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. We actually just launched a marketing campaign, I guess it'd be 2 weeks ago, where we actually go in and so all of our all of our farmer meetings are recorded. And so we take all those transcripts, we'll extract quotes out of them, and then, just approve it with the farmer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely wanted to look into, just going to local coffee shops and sitting and meeting with farmers. We always have the problem of, I connect with the farmer, and then, I bring up finance and he's just shuts down completely. And so we struggle with that. But yeah, that's where warm word of mouth comes in. And, I've had farmers that, come to us because, hey, their buddy over here did it. And look how much money he made on it. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Jake Bottom with Health Hub Clinic.
I'm right there. Okay.
I am not a secret farmer at night.
Okay.
But I do know quite a bit of farmers who, like you said, they're kind of not willing to talk about their finances. Have you thought about just selling the app as an option, like something they can take to the sale barn with them and look that up so they're not publicly addressing their finances, but they're still getting some kind of revenue stream from it?
Right. One thing that we have thought about that, yes. One thing was in order for the projections that are when they put in their numbers, they have to know all of their input costs, right? And so we're vertically integrated within a livestock industry, and so a lot of times they have no idea what their input costs are. I have thought about that, but honestly, when we put it all together, it helps the farmer so much more than just giving them the cost that they have right there and being able to put that in. But yes, thank you.
Tim Freelbank, Missouri, 1 million cups. First off, great presentation, as you've heard many times. I think between you and Gage last week, I think the future is bright with the young folks in our community anyway. I think you guys are fantastic, very smart, very witty. From South Kansas City, so not real big in the cattle department. Right? But I am in commercial banking, and I'm interested in this because, like you said, there's a lot of ag business that's done around this town. And my question is going to be to you, have you thought about partnering with bankers in the ag department? Have you thought about partnering with business or ag insurance people that focus on that? People that most may not think of in your industry. The NLA thing that he talked about, I think is perfect, right? Because farmers are going to talk. They're going to talk. They all sit around that table every day for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And that's the easiest network you can have for the lowest cost.
Right.
So if you like coffee, come here on Wednesday. Come here on Wednesdays, but then go there afterwards if you want to do that. But anyway, have you thought about things like that may not be your typical marketing ways? And then what kind of, when you go to these old fellas, right, that may have the flip phone, right, that aren't willing to give you the info, what's kind of the pushback and what are you doing to maybe get over that hump to where he'll tell his friend or learn from a friend or that type of a thing? So what are you kind of doing about that?
Right. Yeah, so on the first one, you're talking about the banks. So this past, I guess, 2 weeks, we did what we called a banker blitz. And so we went out and talked to, I think we had over 40 bankers that we talked to across Southwest Missouri. And so we went all the way up to, we were up in Lamar, went down to Joplin. I mean, we were all over the place just talking to any ag bankers that we could find. One thing that we found is a lot of these banks are, they're willing to refer people, but as far as partnering directly with the bank, they have a lot of reservations about that. I figured, I kind of joked that farmers are hard-headed, that I thought, and then I started working with bankers, and I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, so we have looked into that as well as the insurance agents as well. And then the second part of your question, could you remind me? Sorry.
It was more about what are you doing to battle when they say I got a flip phone,
Right.
I'm not doing this, it's electronic.
For sure. So what we do, I actually went up and met with a farmer on Monday, and so we were up in Nevada. We went up to Nevada and actually sit down with the farmer, get a cup of coffee, sit down at their kitchen table, and build these enterprise budgets pretty much right in front of them. So we take away that the Google Meets or the Zoom aspect of it, and it makes them a lot more apt to use our service. But also those examples of enterprise budgets that I had, we print them off on PDFs, and so basically we just have the PDF document. Well, I mean, I guess it's on paper, it's not physically on the paper, and we give it to the farmer and we say, these are your numbers based on the inputs that we put in, and then if you're willing, we're more than happy to go back and refresh these numbers, and we'll send you a copy every time we do it. And so that's kind of what we do.
For Little Cox Road Studios, I'm kind of half kidding, and if nobody knows what I'm talking about, I'm going to crawl in a hole. But have you thought about McBee Farms? Anybody seen the McBee?
I have. I've heard a lot about them.
They need your help.
That is
She'll
an
leave that with you.
yeah. That is an interesting one. I have heard a lot about the McBees. We have found that very large farms a lot of times are large because they know their numbers. They know what's going on within their operation. Or option number 2 is they have enough cash flow from somewhere else to be able to infuse it within the farm. And so we see a lot of that as well with really large farms. A lot of people, for lack of better words, they use it as a tax write-off. And so, thank you.
Hey, Dustin Farrell again with Living in the Ozarks and the Creed Group. That's the Commercial Real Estate Investment Group. Spinning off of Tim's idea. So I was a member of MBA, which is Missouri Bankers Association. I think that is primarily community banks and things like that, which might be in your wheelhouse.
Right.
Maybe good to look into those events. They're annual. Sometimes they're more than annual events that you can go to. It's a good opportunity to get in front of a lot of bankers
Gotcha.
all at once. So maybe
Yeah.
look into that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
You bet.
Sorry, no, it's me again.
All good. I'm here for it.
So this actually it hits home personal for me, but one thing I've noticed with a lot of family farms is that maybe the grandpa and that great grandpa is kind of running everything. When that person's gone, then what happens? And so I think both from a selling point of view and a marketing point, I think a lot of this is also about carrying on legacy. You know, how do we move forward after that primary person is gone? So do you have any ideas on kind of how to market that or how to get in front of those people that are maybe about to go through that transition?
Yeah, for sure. That's on extended presentation that I do. I actually delve more into my story, and part of it is, you know, I wanted to go back to the family farm, but I didn't even know if it would financially support me. And there's a lot of people my age that I talk to, and they're like, yeah, I don't know if I can make it on the farm. You know, Dad works an off-farm job. I'll have to do the same, but I don't even know if it's worth it for me to go back. And so we have looked into people just like that, you know, looking to go back to the farming operation. And part of what we say, you know, whenever we're marketing to the older generation is, you know, I tell my story and say, do you have grandkids? You know, do you have kids that are wanting to come into the farm? What does it look like financially for them to do that? And most of the time they have no idea. And so that's where we help them in particular. Thank you, though.
Good morning, I'm Stacy
Morning.
Claypool. I am with Quality Clean or Commercial Janitorial Service. Talking about bankers, I wondered if you thought about maybe reaching out, I'm sure you have, reaching out to financial planners in small communities. I think sometimes that if an individual has been with a financial planner and gone over their plan and they know their story and possibly a stronger trust with a financial planner that they have for some time.
Yes, ma'am. Yep, we have, I think we have 2 or 3 financial planners in our referral pipeline. And so we're looking into that further, be able to talk with those individual, you know, financial planners and work with them. And so I'm pretty excited to delve into that market as well. Being a kind of a one-man show for a long time, we just hired our first marketing agent. And being a one-man show, it was kind of a lack of time in figuring out where the highest return places would be. But now that we've, you know, spent the time and got all the systems in place, now we're looking into these different markets to go into. But thank you for that. Yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Great presentation, Noah. And as we always do, one last question, what can we as a community do to help you?
For sure. Yeah, I said in the slide, but number one, you know, if you know any farmers out there, odds are they need to know their finances. And odds are we'll be able to help them. As I said, 95% of the operations in Missouri have no idea what their numbers are. And so as I said, if you know any farmers, please send them our way so that we can help them help save their family farm, as well as if you know of any opportunities for us to get in front of farmers and be able to speak, please send those our way as well. But thank you all so much.
Thank you.